Presented by Prize Picks. Get $50 instantly when you play $5 using the promo code LightYears. Welcome to Light Years. Andy Lou, we got a Warriors 125-112 win over the Wizards. Kind of felt like a little bit of the first time it was like a mid-season malaise game. You know, the energy was a little bit lower, but hey, anytime you get a win on the road, you got to feel happy about it, right?
Yeah. By the way, just for the listeners, it's the first time that Tommy and I are running the show. I've never been happier. It feels good not having Sam around. It makes me feel like I'm finally fucking free. No, I'm kidding. No, dude, it's I can't wait. I can't wait to do this. I can't wait to there's nothing better than watching the Warriors when they're good. Like I feel like there's like a certain amount of happiness that last couple seasons, even when they won games like this, it was still a little miserable. I felt like I was never happy. I had people text me, you do too, right? Like people text you and you'll be like, dude, like what, why, like what's wrong with the Warriors? Or like, Andy, why do you sound so miserable? They just won 2 in a row. And I'll just be like, because they're not fucking fun to watch. I don't know what you want from me, bro. I'm not going to lie to you. They're not fun. And then you go and watch this season's Warriors and they didn't play good tonight. I felt like they were sleepwalking, honestly, but they're fun. Like every minute that we watched was fun to watch.
Yep, and those sleepwalky games the last couple years, they were always in question, right? Like this game had a little bit of back and forth, but you never really felt like they weren't in control of the game at any point. And I think more than anything, that's the sign of a good basketball team or maybe a great basketball team is when you can kind of have those lackadaisical performances, but you're still like in control of the game the entire time. And really what it starts with, in my opinion, is just their defense is so much better than it has been the last couple of years. So even when they had some cold stretches tonight, they didn't shoot it great, but they were still able to control the game because they got stops consistently enough to where it just looks so much better than last year. And obviously last year they started 6-2 as well, and they're 6-1 right now. But it feels different. The way that it's happening feels different. They're winning, besides the Rockets game, really. They really haven't had like one of those, oh my God, they just blew a 20-point lead and now the game's in question. That could have happened a couple times tonight, and it didn't. But really, my first thoughts just coming off of the game tonight is Draymond Green just back? Is he gonna score 15 points a game again? Is he gonna shoot 40% from three? I'm gonna pull up the box score right now so we can take a look at it. But yeah, he just, it's like all of a sudden he's just a guy that's going to be an offensive player again. 5 of 7 from the field, 3 of 4 from 3 tonight, 5 of 7 from the free throw line, 18 points for Draymond. How often has he done that the past couple of years, or really since KD came? It's not something that happens much anymore, but this is the second or third time this year already that he's done that.
Yeah. I mean, look, dude, you brought up the defense, which is the number one thing that I think has been super, super impressive outside of the barrage of 3-pointers that they're taking. And it's led by this guy. He only played 29 minutes tonight. He didn't get into a fight tonight. It was close a few times, but he's playing against Jordan Poole, right? Old buddy, old pal, old mentor. And I thought he was pretty locked in, which you can't blame a guy like Draymond if he's not locked in for a road game in DC on a Monday night against like a top bottom 5 team in the NBA. And they actually needed him. I'm not saying they needed him to win this game, but he was the best player on the court along with Steph. It wasn't close. 3 for 4 from 3. I know you brought that up, which is kind of like, it's kind of funny because the shot actually looks kind of smooth. It's not. Do you remember? Like I don't know. What is his shot changed from when was it a mental block in maybe 17, 18, 19, 20, where he kind of felt like he was shooting with his ass out a little more? I don't know. I'm not a shot doctor, but
it felt stiffer. And I think a lot of it really is just confidence, right? And Steve obviously said coming into the season, hey, we want to be a high volume 3-point shooting team. And I think you can see that confidence with Draymond, obviously, but I think you can see it emanating throughout the entire team. Like Moses is letting it fly, without much care. Obviously, Buddy does that anywhere he's at. I mean, Lindy's obviously shooting the ball well. It's kind of flowing throughout the whole team. So I really do think it is. I think Dre maybe worked on a shot a little bit more this summer and made it a focus. But at the same time, I do think it's a mentality thing where he seems freer, and he seems like when he's open now, he's going to shoot the ball. Whereas like that was it was one of the most annoying things about watching the Warriors play,
Right.
kind of like
Right.
post KD for a couple years. It's
Right.
like, dude, you're wide. You have to shoot that. And it's adjusting the ways that teams are guarding him. Like teams are pressuring him again out at 25, 30 feet, which makes it easier to play some of those lineups with multiple non-shooters. Now you can kind of play him with slow-mo a little bit more and Looney and Trace. It just makes a lot of those lineup combinations so much easier to work through. If he's just going to be this guy who's going to shoot, I mean, if he shoots 40% from three, you can't ask for any more at this point.
Well, let's stay on that point. That's huge because they played him next to TJD and slow-mo to close the game.
Yep.
To play essentially almost the last 5 minutes of the fourth quarter, and then they put Looney in for the last couple. So maybe like an extended 7-8 minute stretch where Draymond was essentially playing the 4/3/5 free safety position, which is what he loves to do. But you've got some super elite IQ guys like Kyle Anderson next to him, and then I think TJD is like getting there defensively from an IQ perspective, and then Looney's one of the smartest, I think, defensive players that you've got in the league. What you're saying, I think, is huge. If you're able to play those lineups and bullshit into some, especially against these teams, like you can't play that lineup against the Cavs
or Boston,
coming up probably, or Boston, but like against a team like tonight where you're just like, oh, dude, who gives a shit? Just get a win. And you can play those lineups and get enough offense from Lindy Waters and Buddy Hield, and then you get Steph in there for a last few to close it out. I think is huge. Because you don't want to play small if you don't absolutely have to. And we didn't see Kuminga and Wiggins on the floor essentially the whole like latter half of the crunch time in the fourth quarter tonight. But I think that sets it up defensively. That's where the
right. And like you're saying, it just makes you so much more versatile defensively, and it allows you to actually play some bigger lineups. It doesn't have to be, you're not so locked into so many Draymond at the 5 lineups where you have to kind of play 2 wings next to him because he's so unwilling to shoot the ball. It really does change the dynamic of everything. And if this has any type of consistency to it, I mean, it's I don't think it's the type of thing where it's like, oh my God, they're like championship favorites, obviously, but it does change the way you can view even some trades that you potentially want to make. Like, I don't want to go into that stuff too much right now, but like if a Jimmy Butler becomes available, right? Like it does change that dynamic a little bit where you're not so worried about the 2 non-shooter thing. So, I mean, it's been a massive boon to start the season. And I do think, I mean, he shot it well last year. There just wasn't volume to it. It was only 1 or 2 attempts a game. But if it's 3 to 4 attempts a game at 40%, that's something entirely different. It just allows you to unlock some of those lineups. So you mentioned Jordan Poole, a little bit ago. Let's talk about Poole a little bit, because obviously he was kind of I'd say a sweetheart for the fan base, right? Like a lot of people were very sad when we had to trade him. And to me personally, to start this year, he looks as good as he did. He didn't shoot it well tonight, but he looks way more confident, and he's playing with more conviction than he was in his last Warriors year and in his first Wizards year. He's making quicker decisions. He's not messing with the ball so much. He's just trying to get his offense in the cleanest ways possible, which is why he was so successful in 21-22. What do you think of his game tonight?
I think the comfort level you're saying is right. It felt like last year in Washington, it was like his rookie season. You remember how bad he was his rookie season? I literally thought I was one of the guys that was like, dude, if I never have to watch him play again, I'd be such a happy fucking person. And then the next year, he became an integral part of that championship team. And then the year after that, Steve Kerr couldn't take him off the court because offensively they just needed that scoring burst. I think the same thing's happening in Washington. He's got an absurd green light, which I think is so funny. I don't know what Washington's trying to do. Koulibaly was terrible tonight, but he's been good this season. So it's like, is that the guy you're bidding on? Kuzma didn't play tonight. I mean, he's got to get traded right at some point, maybe to the Warriors.
Yeah.
But it's like, they've got some guys that are going to, I know we'll get to it, but I thought Poole looked a lot better than he did last season. He's 25 years old. They're putting a lot on him to become that type of leadership guy. I don't know if he is. I don't know if he ever will be, but it's good to see him play well again. My point was, it was nice to see him come back from what was a disastrous first season in Washington, similar to his disastrous first season as a Warrior. And you kind of forget, Fitz brought it up, I didn't even know he was 25. Like he's been in the league for so long now, it feels like, and hopefully. What are they? Surprisingly, they're 2-3. They're gonna.
They beat the Hawks twice. They beat the Hawks twice to start the season back to back. Which, I mean, that says more about the Hawks than anything else. But I think they are playing. Obviously, they're they're more focused on like getting Cooper Flag or Ace Bailey or whatever. But no, I think the biggest thing is I'm honestly, I was a huge Poole fan when he was here. I'm just happy for him because he seems to have a level of confidence back into his game. And you never want to see a guy like totally fall apart like that after getting paid. So biggest thing is I'm happy for the kid. And I hope he continues to play well because I think there's a brighter future than he showed the past 2 years. You know, I don't know if he's ever a starting point guard on a championship team, but I mean, why can't he be a Buddy Hield type of guy, right? For a very good team, you know, like down the line as he continues to mature his game.
I hope he's better than Buddy Hield, honestly.
Same.
I mean, just the contract that he has now, and he's got way more handle. I mean, he makes some dumb plays. I mean, it's Buddy Hield's. I mean, they're both just as bad as each other defensively. I'll tell you that. Yeah. But it's starting to hit me like
Poole leading the league in steals right now. Poole's leading the league in steals right now.
Yeah, he is. He takes a lot of chances. It's like watching a young Steph. Steph had a lot of steals as young. He's good, which tells you he has good feel for the game, good anticipation, all of that. But it's like the guy can defend. I'm not comparing Poole to Steph defensively because Steph has always been way more game plan, like to the game plan versus Poole. I don't think Poole gives a shit. But good feel, good anticipation, good for Jordan Poole. I don't think they played into the Draymond Jordan Poole stuff at all. I saw Jordan Poole hit a shot on Draymond, kind of pulling at the crowd, stuff like that. But
yeah,
I don't know. Did you see? Did they dab each other up, stuff like that, or was it?
I mean, I didn't really see any of that, but it was more. I think you could just kind of feel the tension on certain plays. Like Poole made it a point to go at Draymond sometimes, and then like anytime that Draymond saw like Wiggins or Kuminga like had Poole in the post, like he was making a point to throw it to him. So I think there was still like a little bit of that tension there, but nothing obviously flared up over the course of the game. Besides that, they pointed at each other at one point, but you know, I'm every time they play each other at this point, I'm glad that they get out of it without punches being thrown because we know that's happening.
Growth by both guys. So I as I say this, Jordan Poole pointing at Draymond after hitting a three just crossed my timeline. So but look, man, as long as nobody's hurting each other, the NBA needs more hatred. Honestly, it needs more people that dislike each other.
It does. And you know, Draymond showed a ton of growth tonight because not only Poole was out there, there was an Eastern European big man, and we know what happens when he faces a guy from Eastern Europe. We know what happens. So
you don't.
He took one hard foul on Valanciunas, and that was it.
He did.
That was
it.
He
did.
So
and that feels like Valanciunas is also not the guy you want to fuck with. Like I just look at him. Just look at him. You see Valanciunas was like, dude, what is this guy?
He looks like a henchman in John Wick. That's the vibe that he gives off.
It does. Like Nurkic, I feel like, you know, you can mess with Nurkic a little bit. It doesn't seem like you know, maybe not the scariest guy, but Valanciunas could be your future teammate. We'll get to some of that other stuff coming up, but before we do, Light Years Podcast, we are brought to you by Prize Picks. Prize Picks, best place to get real money sports action. With over 10 million member and billions of dollars in awarded winnings, Prize Picks has made daily fantasy sports accessible to all. You just pick more or less on at least 2 players for a shot to win up to 100 times your cash. Run your game all season long on Prize Picks. So sign up today, get $50 instantly when you play $5. Look at the code. It's right on the screen. Prize Picks, use the code LIGHTYEAR, so a $50 match on a $5 deposit. Prize Picks is the best place to get real money sports action. It's got the flex play, right? So I got an email the other day from Prize Picks, and they said, hey, you want to opt in this flex play? I was like, yeah, of course. What do? You go and you pick 2 guys, you pick 3, you pick 4, whatever you want, and it allows you to double your money even if all your picks don't hit. So put in $20, and let's say, for example, you hit 2 out of 3, right? You still get money back. You don't need to hit all 3. It's the fun part of the Prize Picks flex play. So I did that, got 2 out of 3, got some money back, right? It doesn't have to be a 0. So sign up today, get $50 instantly when you play $5. You don't even need to win to receive the $50 bonus. It's guaranteed. Prize Picks also offers weekly promotions that can lead to big payouts like Taco Tuesday. Each Tuesday, Prize Picks discounts select player projections up 25% to provide more value for your lineup. So download the app, use the code LIGHTYEARS to get $50 instantly after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks, run your game.
All right. So real quick, I'm looking at some of the comments here. People asking where the hell is Sam? We should have addressed this from the top. So Sam just out tonight. He had some family obligations. Sam will be back for the show on Wednesday.
He's done. He's done. It's me and Tommy from now on. No, I'm just kidding.
No, Sam will be back on Wednesday, guys. So it's me and Andy filling in tonight. We should address this at the top, but just wanted to get to that really quick for people joining maybe the stream right now, letting you guys know what's going on. Okay, so do we want to? I mean, this was to me the first time that Steph had to kind of turn it on this season. And I've seen some concern trolling about like, oh, he looks a little bit old, he looks a little bit slow, this and this and that. But I think it's more he's just trying to ease into this season because he knows it's a marathon. He kind of came out of the gates last year and was putting a ton of effort and energy into it. And I think he ran out of gas, frankly, by the end of the season. So I think the nice thing about this team is they do have the depth to and kind of the scoring versatility to withstand maybe a slower start from Steph, but it was nice to see him start cooking a little bit there in the second and third quarter. So thoughts on Steph tonight, thoughts on how he's looked in general just to start the season.
He was slow tonight, right? He did look slow out there, huh?
Yeah.
But I mean, you're right. He's just not trying. He shouldn't be. Like he's kind of doing the LeBron thing. I watch a lot of Suns games because I'm pretty high on the Suns this season, and I've been watching KD a lot. And man, he plays like 38 minutes a game, and on possessions where he doesn't have the ball in his hand, he just stands there because I think he's just exhausted. It's a lot for him to play so many minutes. Steph was on a minutes restriction tonight, which I think explained why he didn't start the second half. It was weird for him to play the first 5 minutes, then come back for the last 5 minutes. As anyone that has ever dealt with or has ever played any sports knows, you just can't sit with an injury, which then kind of begs the question, why is he playing? But regardless of that, I think he was playing at maybe 65% throughout the whole game. And then when he needed to turn it on, I think end of the first half, right, he turned it on for a couple. I think he saw Poole hit that three. He hit a three coming back to him. And then I think in that third quarter, he looked really good. And then the fourth quarter, it looked like he didn't have anything left at the end of the game, which I think is fine. I think it doesn't speak to, in my opinion, like who he is as a player now. I think it more speaks to like LeBron tonight. Like, look, I just, those are the three guys, right? Like they lost in Detroit tonight, and LeBron you can just see he's like, he cannot, like, Rui Hachimura, you just got to be better. I'm not going to give you everything tonight. And with Steph, same thing. It's like tonight, Lindy Waters, you're going to have to hit some shots. And he did, right? Buddy Hield, you're just going to have to hit some shots. And they did. Draymond Green.
Yeah. And I think the biggest thing is guys, like we're talking about a Steph, a LeBron, or a KD, as they get older, it's not necessarily the ceiling they can get to as a player. It's how long they can sustain that ceiling for, right? It's about being able to stay at that level for, the course of 36 minutes or over an 82 game season. You can't do it the same as you did when you were 25, 26 years old. But I mean, Steph still won. He was the clutch player of the year last year because they were in so many close games, and they kind of needed him to be that guy. The hope would be he doesn't have to do that much over the course of the regular season. And by the time you get to the playoffs, then he still has some legs left to him. I think one of the biggest things that happened in 21-22 was he actually did get hurt the last month before the playoffs, and he basically was able to rest. So by the time they did get to the playoffs, he was actually feeling rested instead of feeling worn down by the season. And I would hope that one of the benefits of the depth of this roster is, minutes restriction tonight, but he only played 24 minutes. I don't think he's played more than 30 or 31 minutes in any game this year. So, I mean, that's ideal if you can keep that going. But no, it was good to see him get going a little bit there in the third, and just look like himself a little bit. Yeah, he's a small guard. It's different for him. That's gonna follow me forever. It's gonna follow me forever.
I forgot you. God, it's been so long. What year was that? God,
that was like 2020, man. That was like COVID era.
Yeah, man, Steph looks so much different now than he did. It's crazy watching Steph, just how different he looks. People always ask, like what version of Steph was better? To this day, I always say 2016. Like that was just the next level.
Same.
Of Steph Curry. Like, truly, that if it wasn't for that knee injury, they sweep through that postseason, and they go to not going back in the past. Just that version of Steph was absolutely unstoppable.
You could stop him into any spot at that point in his career. And
you watch those highlights now, they look crazy.
He looks so fast. He looks so fast at that point, and he's figured out different ways to do it, obviously. Yeah. But that's the nature of it, right? He's not 20
That is
points
how
in
it
the game.
is. You have to change your game. I mean, LeBron's shooting freaking step back threes now. Can you
Yeah,
imagine when we were growing up and we were watching Miami Heat LeBron? Can you imagine telling us like, no, this guy's gonna be shooting? And that's kind of the way of the world, way of the game is now. But and Steph's kind of played in that way. Like tonight, like how often does he ever go inside the 3-point line in a game like this? Like especially in a game like this.
never. He's
Yep.
looking to distribute. You know what? Like he's looking to get in there and maybe spray it out, but like he shoots layups when he's wide open, or he kind of absolutely has to. But
Yeah.
but I don't blame him for that. Like obviously the rim, he's going to be getting to the rim a little bit less. But the bigger thing that I'll always look for is like, okay, in a big game, in a tight moment, can he still make those type of plays? And as long as he can do that, then I don't think it's really that big of a deal. You know. So, but
Yeah.
no, like I said, I thought he looked great tonight. So hopefully we continue to see more of that, and this group just kind of continues to build chemistry together because they haven't had their full complement of players yet. Like, Steph was out for a couple games, Melton's been out, Wiggins missed some games. Now Pods is out potentially with who knows. But
He
they're
said he
still
was
there's
sick.
yeah. I mean, it could have been. I think he got hit in the head. It could have been. I don't want to speculate, but it could have been
Ooh.
something like concussion.
Ooh.
Yeah, and he's already dealing with the mask, so it could be something like that. But that's not obviously
Yeah.
sourced or anything. That's just me speculating. But yeah, so it'll be interesting to see how they continue to work through all this lineup stuff as everybody gets healthy, because they still really haven't had all 13, 14 guys for more than a game or two this year.
I
But
I kind of prefer not having to see them sit Moses Moody. Kind of like it,
yeah,
kind of enjoy it. But
hmm
no, I get it. Melton's been on the bench every game, so it doesn't seem like it's that serious, which is nice.
yeah,
But yeah, I mean, look at the wear and tear the season's already getting to guys. Like Andrew Wiggins was terrible tonight, and I think part of that is like he's probably battling a back injury, right?
yep,
And so that stuff it's just gonna happen. I can't imagine them like yeah, they start the season with 13, 12, 13, but just the season. I mean, like this is where I think the Lakers, the Warriors being the Warriors is good. You have so many guys because I just look at the Lakers tonight. You see their bench, like they just
miserable.
yeah. That's just how it's gonna go. And it's good the Warriors can keep churning out guys. I mean, I thought Lindy Waters was great tonight, and he was terrible the other game. It's just how it goes. Like just keep throwing those guys out there.
Yep,
They'll show
and
up.
yeah. And another thing about Lindy, and we'll just touch on this real quick. He's a really smart player. He's constantly making the right rotations defensively. He's constantly getting a body on guys, getting box outs. He's a smart passer. He's obviously a good mover off the ball. Like, and especially with, I would say Golden State specifically, basketball IQ is such a requirement to play on these teams that guys like that can always plug and play. And what the front office did a great job of this summer is they got 13, 14 guys that can all plug and play the way that Golden State wants to play. And that does make it a lot easier to go out and win a game like this when you are missing a Melton, when Wiggins doesn't really have it, when Pods gets injured during the game. So it just makes it easier to withstand these random Monday nights in November, when you're going to need contributions from guys that you wouldn't play in a playoff game. So
I, yeah, yeah.
yeah. I want to
I
touch
agree.
real quick because and we got some people commenting about it.
Oh,
Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. So,
yes.
I think he's looked after definitely a shaky start to the season and then getting sent to the bench. I think he's looked a ton better. I think he's playing more under control. He's trying to take the right shots. His defense has been a little bit better. I wouldn't say it's been fantastic. I'm always going to be a harsh critic of his defense, but I think this is a good point. He's showing some development as a passer. He was in the post on a split action, I think in the third quarter at some point, and threw like a really nice bounce pass to Steph, which he wouldn't have seen that pass last year, 2 years ago.
Yeah, that was.
So just, I think he's showing some real growth, and it's encouraging to see because they're going to need him to play substantial minutes if they want to go where they want to go.
Yeah, I think. By the way, for the audio listeners, I think we're talking about Kuminga's passing. I think the commenters are pointing that out, right? He's been making reads all season. So, no, you're right. I'm glad you brought this up because there was one possession that freaking blew my mind, and I know you're a film junkie, so but like he was in transition and he had the ball, and I think we always normally know what Kuminga is going to do in transition, right? Like, and more often than not, it's going to work because bro's the most athletic player, and in transition you can't stop him. But he made it a point to slow down. I think he had at least a 2-on-1, maybe even a 3-on-1, and he waited for Steph to go essentially make a V cut, really go from the left side baseline all the way to the other side. That's a pass that Draymond hits every time. It's a pass that Andre Iguodala hits every time. It's a pass that Sean Livingston, I'm naming the guys that would actually be able to bring the ball up in transition and hit it.
Sure.
And I watched Kuminga hit that pass because I'm watching Steph run because that's all I care about. I just want to watch him get a three. And I'm watching Kuminga kind of process it in real time and make that look. And you see Steve Kerr and the coaching staff like act like that was the game-winning shot. And it just, that's a level of growth I think that I think is going to be huge for this team, because no other team plays like that. No other team is going to yes, other teams are going to shoot a three in transition rather than score a layup. You could argue like that's maybe what all teams do now, but only the Warriors should shoot a Steph three rather than take a layup, right? Like that's what the Warriors would take every single time. And it was cool to see him make that specifically. Maybe I'm reading too much into it, but though the issue with Kuminga is always he's not a perfect fit for the Warriors style. But now we're kind of watching them merge his style, which is, hey, I'm going to shoot some mid-range fadeaways. He made another couple today. And I'm going to get big clutch buckets, which is what he did against Houston down the stretch. Really tough twos, which the Warriors can't do. And then he's learning to play their style, which is that read and react offense that I don't think many teams in the NBA run. So if he can kind of marry the two, Tommy, I don't really see the ceiling, right? Because it's perfect if they can.
Totally. And that's the thing. I think what you're really seeing with him is just a little bit more patience over the last week or so. You know, just a more patient approach to the game and understanding that, like, hey, my minutes are going to come, my shots are going to come, but let's try to make the right play here. And then, you know, if we do get into a late shot clock situation, like he had that baseline fadeaway, he had like you said, a couple other tough twos. He can get the kind of buckets that really only maybe Wiggins can, if Wiggins is feeling good. You know, they have one or two guys that can do it, and Kuminga is one of them. So it really does add a dimension that they don't have if he can continue to be this guy. So yeah, I mean, I was pretty shaky on him early in the year, and I was saying, hey, like maybe this isn't going to work. And it did feel that way for a little bit when he went to the bench, like when he initially got benched. But if he can continue to kind of stay on this path and continue to grow in this way, it's like you said, the sky's kind of the limit with it, because it sometimes the growth can come unexpectedly, and then all of a sudden it just clicks for a guy. It doesn't always make sense when that type of growth comes. But if it does, then hey, we're talking about a different ceiling, not only for him, but for the team. So
it's
hopefully we continue to see it.
It's also funny because unshockingly, he's playing his best coming off the bench, right?
Yep.
In the lineups that make the most sense
Right.
to play next to him. Like,
Yep.
you know, I'm sure he's not happy, but like Steve Kerr's right. Like this is the and he didn't close tonight, but if it was a close game, that like I think he probably would have closed. Probably should have closed. He played very well tonight. Like probably should have closed. And you know, I just that bench lineup is a perfect fit, I think. And as long as he's playing enough to close, he's gonna close. That's like it's pretty simple. Like they're going to need him to do that. So
yeah. And you know, the biggest thing with putting him with more of those bench lineups, it gets a little bit more shooting around him, number one, because they do bring more shooting off the bench. And then it allows him to play the three defensively, and it doesn't make it so he has to play the four, which is actually huge for him, because when he has to play the four defensively, it gets a little bit shaky for him. But when you let him just be kind of more of a perimeter and then come and fly in for rebounds, it makes his job just a little bit easier. It overloads him less in terms of the mental side of the game, which is still something he struggles with from time to time. So yeah, I mean, they're getting the best version of him right now at this point, but you know, we'll see how it goes.
If they can play him next to Kyle Anderson forever, that would be a dream. It would be a dream. All right, we got some trade stuff we got to get to before we do that. Light Years Podcast, we are brought to you by Body Spec. By the way, Body Spec, are pretty much our sponsor, our one of our main sponsors so far this season, has been a crushing success. You guys are signing up. You guys are getting your DEXA scans. I love it. Just go to bodyspec.com/lightyearspod, lightyears45 code at checkout for $15 off, $45, right? So whether you're an athlete, fitness enthusiast, or just getting back in shape, Body Spec has you covered for less than a price of a haircut. You can access DEXA scans, the world's most accurate body composition scan. It's a $200 scan, and that we're offering you guys for $45. You go to any of your stores. I'm going into I'm going in this Thursday to get my scan. I know I told Sam last time that I think I was in like the 25% ish range last time. We'll see. We'll see what I'm at this time. I think I've been working out. But this is, I think, the kind of the big thing. I think professional athletes use it. I won't name names, but they use it. People all over the Bay Area, LA, like all these sporting teams all use this. They get access to this. For us to get access to this, for me, like I'd have to go sign up for a gym that costs $250 a month, right? Just to get this done. And again, another good thing is it takes 5 minutes. You get in there, you go get scanned, you go get your results right after that. It's easy. You go into your closest spot in San Francisco, Palo Alto. They got mobile vans too. They got them in SoCal. Tommy, I know you're out there, right? So if you want to transform your New Year's resolution into reality, we are, Light Years Podcast, offering exclusive $15 discount on single scan. So just use the code LightYears at checkout. Get a DEXA scan for only $45. Again, it's bodyspec.com/lightyearspod.
Yeah, I was supposed to get my DEXA scan done this past week, but I just wasn't able to make time. But I'm going this week. Like I said, I want to see where I'm at before the winter, and then I'm going to go get another one done in the spring after getting in the gym all winter and getting back in shape.
Getting in the gym all winter, huh?
All winter, man. I'm going into hibernation, going into the cave. You know what I mean?
Season, bro.
Yeah, I'm going to emerge a new man in the spring. In March and April.
Funny.
So yeah, I'm excited to get it done. But yeah, guys, go sign up. It's an amazing deal they're offering you guys. So yeah, go get it done. And we appreciate you guys signing up.
Cool.
All right. What else do we want to hit on?
Hold on.
We got one more?
One more for you. Yeah. Hold on. So Light Years Podcast brought to you by Game Time. Game Time, authorized ticket marketplace of Major League Baseball, which means getting tickets faster and easier. Prices on the Game Time app actually go down the closer it gets to the first pitch. So all you got to do, download the Game Time app, create an account, use the code LightYears for $20 off your first purchase. Look, man, you can go for anything, not just baseball. You got football. You got college basketball. I think just came back today. Right?
Today.
Tonight. Yeah. What else we got? College basketball, men's and women's, right? You can go to concerts. I think there's been more raves for me personally out lately in San Francisco, which is great. They've got more. They got concerts like pretty much every week at Chase now. I think Kehlani was last week. I would go. If I was able to go. My wife loves Kehlani. But literally, my friend went for like $30. He went for a Kehlani concert for $30. Kate Trinata, I think, was another one that came out. So it's like, look, man, it's amazing. Go use Game Time. Use the code LightYears for $20 off your first purchase. You can save up to $60 or 60% off buying last minute for sports, concerts, comedy, theater, etc. You get all-in pricing. So if you use that feature, right, it shows the total up front, no surprise fees at checkout. It's my biggest pet peeve. You got seat views, get a panoramic view from your seat in the app before you buy. I actually use that when I bought Bill Burr tickets. Literally shows you where you're going to sit so you can see the guy's bald head. It's great. You got the lowest price guarantee or Game Time. We'll credit you 110% of the difference. So download Game Time now. Create an account, use code LightYears, $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account, redeem code LIGHTYARS for $20 off. Download the Game Time today. Last minute tickets, lowest price. Guaranteed. All right.
Yeah, I'm gonna hop on Game Time in a couple weeks here when the Warriors are coming down to SoCal playing the Clippers. I want to say on the 18th. So I'm gonna make it super easy. I got to go see into it, and
I heard
it's the easiest way to do it.
I've
heard it's amazing. I've heard it's amazing. It'll be a little bit of pain getting there from Orange County, but Game Time will make it a little bit easier. So
yeah.
Perfect. All right. What else do we want to hit on here? I think we talked about Valanciunas a little bit earlier, and he was a guy that the Warriors had interest in this summer as a free agent, and seems like Washington kind of signed him to be a guy that they essentially use as a player to get back an asset or two at the trade deadline. So what do you think about how Valanciunas looked tonight, number one? And then number two, what would you potentially, let's say, the Warriors want to get some more big man depth around the deadline. Maybe they hit some injuries or maybe they just don't feel stable with where their big man rotation is at. How would you feel about Valanciunas? He only makes like $8 or $9 million. So it's a very easy trade to make. They got contract to make that happen.
That one's an interesting one because I think all these supplementary trades, which is what I felt like the Warriors, especially with the big man, would always want to do, is really dependent on the what they're giving up. Are they giving up a first? Any type of first? Is it a protected first? If protected, how protected? Does the protected first become 2 second-round picks? Like, is it that type of protected first where it's like kind of a fake first, where it just become too like I think that's fine. But I think you're really giving up anything of value, especially a real first round pick, I think two things. One, it takes away from the war chest that you have to go theoretically get someone like Jimmy Butler. That's number one.
Giannis.
Yeah, or Giannis. Yeah, I know. Yeah, right.
Bucks are 1-6.
That's one. They don't have, like, they're not the Oklahoma City Thunder, right? Like, they don't have a ton of first round picks. Like, you got to really make sure you use it appropriately. Two, if you're using a first round pick on a guy like Jonas Valanciunas, it's not necessarily someone that, like, he's not closing games for you, right? I think the thing with the Dallas Mavericks that was really good about them sending those picks is Daniel Gafford closing games, PJ Washington closing games, Jonas Valanciunas. I think they need a big. I think they could use a big. I think Draymond would like playing with them. He fits on the team. He could pass. He could rebound. He could shoot threes. A little bit of stretch in him. But they're not. Here's what I think. I wouldn't do it. They definitely won't do it. Because I'd imagine the Wizards are asking for a first round pick. And there's going to be other teams out there that are going to say, oh, we need a big. Let's go get him. Like the Lakers, right? I could see, like, hey, we've got our two superstars. Let's go send the first for a guy that will close games. I could see Valanciunas closing games with AD. Like, I'm sure that's what AD wants. And so, all those being said, I love Valanciunas on the Warriors. I just don't see how it would happen, both from the perspective of Washington, like, getting the picks that they want, and then the Warriors given what the Wizards would want. Right?
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree with the latter point there. They're Warriors aren't coming off any type of big asset to go get Jonas Valanciunas, and they shouldn't, to be clear. But, 16, 12, and 7 assists tonight. Didn't shoot any threes, but he has that in his game. Yes. He can step out and shoot some threes. And I mean, I think if they did do it, you would view it as almost like the Bucks going to get Brook Lopez, and you're trying to, like, you'd have to emphasize to him, hey, we want you shooting. He's not that level of player defensively. Right. Like, Brook has been a defensive player of the year type of guy, and Jonas definitely isn't that. He's not as mobile. Just not as smart of a defender in general. But yeah, I mean, you would probably try to say, hey, we want you to be obviously you can play in the low post too, but we want you to be a little bit of stretch the floor for guys like Wiggins, Kuminga, who are slashing to the rim and are trying to get those paint touches and those rim points, because it just gets a little bit easier when you have that extra space. The other guy that's on this team that could be a trade deadline target, and I think I already know how you're going to feel about this one, Mr. Kyle Kuzma. But what would be your thoughts on the Warriors?
Yeah, the same thing with Jonas is, like, what the Warriors want to do is they want to trade 3 guys for 1, right? It's like the classic. It's like in fantasy where you want to trade 3 of your mid-level guys for 1 elite guy, right? Like, it's kind of what the Warriors need to do, and neither of these guys, I think, is going to get Kuzma. If Kuzma had a really bad contract, I could see it. Like, I could see the Warriors, like, trading 3 expirings to get so the Wizards can get off that contract. I mean, I guess you could argue the Wizards have the Jordan Poole contract, which is a bad contract, but it's like, maybe that would make sense. But Kuzma's contract isn't bad. And so it almost kind of feels like, okay, now, like, is it going to be another consolidation one, or what is it going to, it's probably not. And then the other question would then be, and I think this is the one where you could talk me into it, is if they get Kuzma, he might actually close games for them. Like, I could see Kyle Kuzma close. I think he would. Yeah. So you could talk me into that one where they'd give up a pick and you get off, maybe you go Looney. I don't know who you go. I don't know if you go Moses Moody, which I'm sure the Wizards would like some type of young player in return. But, like, I think that's someone that is enticing to the Warriors. To me, much more than Valanciunas. But, I
mean, I think the biggest thing is, and this is what you're kind of getting at, is if you're doing one of these consolidation trades, where it's 3 guys for 1 because you got to get to a bigger contract number, you probably don't want to make that swing for Kyle Kuzma. Like, no, like, and I don't mean that in a bad way, but, like, good player, like, played on a championship team. You say whatever you want about the Lakers bubble championship, it still exists technically. Like, he can play in a championship environment. I think that's kind of known, especially if he just tamps down his shot selection a little bit, which he's shown the ability to do. But at the same time, is that really the guy that if you're going to take some type of swing, I think you would want to aim a little bit higher than that. So yeah, I just thought it was interesting. Obviously, Kuzma didn't play tonight, but I just thought kind of an interesting topic just to I don't know, just to gauge where not only you're at, but where the fans would be at with those type of trades. But the more I think about it, it's I don't know, it just doesn't feel that it doesn't feel like it moves the proverbial needle, right? Neither one of
Yeah.
those things, unless Looney or Trace goes down, and then okay, maybe you do have to kind of swing for a Valanciunas because you just need some more size.
Yeah.
But in general, it doesn't seem like super appetizing to me to try to get either
No.
one of those guys.
No.
So
I can see the Kuzma one way more than I could see the Jonas one. But it kind of feels like they wouldn't give anyone anything that Washington would care about to get that one done. So,
sure,
yeah, you know how Joe Lacob is. He's probably way more willing to do big game hunting than anything else.
always.
Yeah. So it's like you see the rumors out for like Cam Johnson, from the Nets, right? And it's like a good player. I love Cam Johnson, the Warriors, but like it's just the Warriors just don't make those type of moves. They
No,
just they
they don't.
don't. No.
I mean, Cam would fit really well with this team too. He could really shoot the ball. Really, really shoot the ball, especially when he's healthy. But yeah, I just don't see them. Like you said, Joe wants to go big game hunting. That's not a splashy enough move for him if he's giving up any type of asset. So
They don't have like for you to make that move, you have to have the second guy already,
yes,
which they don't have. Like to
right,
get Kyle Kuzma, like the Lakers getting Kyle Kuzma right now would be great. And I keep
sure,
going back to the Lakers because the Warriors and Lakers feel like the same tier team. It's like Dallas, right? They've got Luka and Kyrie. So surround those two guys with veteran like defensive D and 3 and D guys. And you could argue the Warriors have Steph and Draymond, but it's uniquely different, right? Like now they're looking for scoring. So
I mean, Draymond Green, second option, man, 18 points tonight. I don't know.
like Draymond's more like Draymond's like it's harder to fill in that true second scoring role on a winning team rather than as I'm thinking this out, right? It's harder to get that true second score option than it is to get like a really strong role player 3 and D or a really strong big, maybe. I don't know if that's true or not. I'm kind of workshopping it, but
Sure.
feels like it.
No, I do get what you're saying. Look, all the issues would be a lot easier if they had the true second option. But look, man, Buddy has done. I mean, he was good again tonight, and we'll touch on this, and then we'll probably get out of here. But
Yeah.
Buddy is just his level of shot making and like consistent shot making has been. I knew he was an amazing shooter. Like that wasn't something I didn't know or understand, but he's able to do it in every way. 3 of 8 again from 3 tonight, 7 of 14 from the field. Has way more off the bounce stuff than I would have imagined. Like especially getting to the rim. Like I didn't know that was really still. I knew it was a part of the game in college, but I had never really seen him do it in the NBA with this level of consistency. So they're getting enough right now, and eventually you'll probably hit a point where it's like you need that true number 2 kind of guy. But for right now, I mean, they've got it figured out for being this early in the season. It doesn't, you usually don't see a team who's this cohesive this early, especially when you have multiple guys out of the lineup. So I think that's really the most encouraging thing that we can take from these first kind of 6-7 games is that these guys have a real identity and they haven't the last 2 years. So it's just about, I don't know, finding the right minutes for the right guys and hoping that Steph and Dre are still superstars on their ends of the floor by the time the playoffs roll around. Mute.
I think the Buddy stuff has been interesting because he's been so damn good. And sometimes I'm kind of sitting there and I'm like, man, he should be starting or he should be closing. But they got so many guys that could close and on certain nights you're kind of sitting there as like, man, they kind of can't win this game without him, which I didn't think that was going to be the case coming into the season. I think, and this kind
I don't think anybody did.
No, maybe not maybe not even Buddy Hield. Nah, I'm sure that's what he thought. But which is kind of interesting because they actually got him for multiple years, not just a 1-year prove it deal, right? Not like just D'Anthony Melton. So I think kind of maybe this is the perfect way to end it is it's going to be interesting to see what they look like against 5 real teams coming up here. Cleveland, Boston, Oklahoma City, a couple other ones, Dallas, I think.
Yeah, Dallas and one more.
And one more. So I think that'll be a really good litmus test that's right in front of them. They're 6-1. They got 5 games. Can they win 3 of them? Right? Can they win 3 of those games? Because, man, if they win 3 of those games, do they need to make a trade? Because they might just win a championship going down, this route. Right. So I think that's and that's where the Buddy Hield stuff comes in. That's where the Kuminga, is he close in? That's where the, is Wiggins going to be locked in for those? So it's just a lot of questions, but I think net, I mean, it's all amazing. It's all amazing coming into the stretch.
Yeah, and just to piggyback off of that, obviously this is why it's really nice to get off to a 6-1 start. So when these type of road trips hit, you dig yourself into an even deeper hole. Like obviously you want them to go 3-2 over the stretch, 4-1 over the stretch, and then we're having different conversations. But even if they drop a couple, and they go 2-3 over the stretch, you're not always lost at that point. You'll get the schedule will turn again and it'll get a little bit easier. But yeah, it's the next week and a half or so is going to be really interesting to see how they look against Cleveland, Boston. Like those two teams, they're playing like two of the best teams in the NBA right now. Cleveland's still undefeated. I think Boston has one loss. So super excited for this upcoming stretch of games. I believe it's Boston on Wednesday. So that'll be a fun one in the Garden. So we'll see what happens. But appreciate everybody tuning in tonight. Andy, if you don't have anything else, let's go ahead and sign off here. Sam will be back on Wednesday for that live game react. And we'll see you guys then. Thanks, everybody.